Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on the video, for showing up and stopping by. Let's go and listen to this band Magna, Carta. I've never heard of them, but we're going to listen to this track Lord of the Ages off of their album of the same name, which was released in 1973. This particular track had been suggested by Mario Barrett, who said that this was your favorite song, and then also suggested by Pauline Sellers, Malik Mo, Eduardo Ferreira, Mario Burtz, I see you again, PJPT, Gaia Eternal, Sound from the West Coast, and Pietro Cais. Trev Curiosities, and there's a few other names in here. So thank you guys so much for the suggestion. Like I said, I've never heard of the band. I believe I've probably seen their name pop up, but otherwise, that's it. So no idea what to expect, but we got a 9-minute track here in front of us, so let's go ahead and dive on in. We'll talk about it a little bit after. Here we go, Lord of the Ages.
Lord of the Ages rode one night out through the gateways of time.
Got a fable.
Astride a great charger in a cloak of white samite, he flew on the air like a storm. Dark was the night, for he'd gathered the stars in his hand to light a path through the sky, while the hooves of his charger made comets of fire, bewitching all eyes beheld them.
Lord of the ages, nobody knows whither he goes. Nobody knows.
Okay, I kind of like this. Nice old folk telling of a story. I like this.
Below a dark forest in caves of black granite, the children of darkness dwelled in oblivion, betraying one another in endless confusion, for the Lord of the Dark had bewitched them. From time's first creation, the wise men and prophets and all workers of magic had warned of the reckoning, the wind and the fire, and the plague of destruction that follows the path of evil.
I do like the back and forth, this choir, strings rising up, and the strict narration.
Far above the wide ocean and thundering rivers,
I love the
through the
growth.
sun and the rain and the turn of the seasons, rode the God of all-knowing. While all around him celestial companions, friends from the void before time was woven, honor his crown with words of white fire and carry his robes of light.
Whither he goes,
I like this.
nobody knows.
But in the peace of a valley, a young child was born, filling the night with his crying. And an old man gave thanks to the Lord of the Ages, whose battle is not with innocence.
Great bass.
But the birds of the air were silent, knowing the time had come when time was forgotten. The waters were stilled, the mountains stood empty, for the cities were deaf long, long ago.
Is it fading out to another part? There you go.
by the brink of the fire. Death and destruction rolled out together, turning the world to a funeral pyre. It was the Lord of the ages,
Gathering in the harvest.
Lord of the ages.
Gathering in the harvest.
Okay, okay.
Gathering in the harvest. Gathering in the harvest. Gathering in the harvest. Gathering in the harvest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gathering in the harvest. Gathering in the harvest. Gathering in the harvest. Gathering in the harvest.
Definitely got their release off.
And from the blood and the thunder of men and their dying,
Gathering
his eyes dark with sorrow, the Lord of the ages gathered in his harvest.
Gathering in the harvest. Gathering in the harvest. Gathering in the harvest. Gathering in the harvest. Gathering in the harvest. Gathering in the harvest. Gathering in the harvest. Gathering in the harvest. Gathering
One more time.
in the harvest. Gathering in the harvest. Gathering in the harvest. Gathering in the
But to the old and helpless, the weak and the humble, to the children of light, his words of compassion breathed on them gently, dissolving the darkness across the great valley that rumbled with fire. And from the death and destruction, the Lord of the ages carried the fruit of the harvest to freedom.
Lord of the ages, nobody knows whither He
That was a wonderful time. That was like sitting at library story time and just having a story read to you, but sung to you, played to you, accompanied by a troupe of magnificent medieval musicians, a traveling troupe that's just give you a good story with some really great music behind it. I love the gentle Renaissance-like, not piano, guitar that's being played throughout this whole thing. The gentle narration that's mostly taken place by John Curl. I think, maybe not. Hold on. I think it's actually Glenn Stewart now looking at the musicians here. I like how the verse is just that narration, that storytime flavor, while at least in the beginning, that chorus is that wonderful choir from all the other members as they sing, and their voices sound so rich, it sounds so full, and I like that back and forth direction. I was already enjoying that part, and then before you know it, they get halfway through, the music quiets down, quite appropriately as the lyrics at that point when the music goes down, it says the cities were deaf long, long ago, and then it just, gets basically to silence. And then before it hits peak silence, it snaps right back into everything with this really, really great rocking jam that keeps some of those influences from before, but definitely just goes out and does its own thing for a while. The solos sound fantastic. The drumming is great. I like how now the electric guitar is able to sing out in all its eccentricities. And it's just a really great kind of midpoint climax before the music calms down again and we're given some more story time, and even that feels like this really great resolution as the voices continue from that point forward. And also the track had a really nice build up as it was going. Before it got to the more rocking section, I like how every time the verse came in, there was a new element behind it. First with the choir, then with the symphony, the orchestra behind it, and it was just a really nice organic way of building that. This was a really, really good track. And I like how it had that kind of folk sensibility from a group like Pentangle or Fairport Convention, like a kind of folky sound like that, with, of course, once again, a nice kind of story here, which I don't know who this Lord of Ages is. Let's see if we can find out together. Lord of the Ages rode one night out through the gateways of time, astride a great charger in a cloak of white samite. He flew in the air like a storm, dark was the night. He gathered the stars in his hand to light a path through the sky, while the hooves of his charger made comets of fire, bewitching all eyes beheld them. Lord of the Ages, nobody knows whether he goes. Nobody knows. He's going out for something. Don't know what it is, though. Below a dark forest and caves of black granite, the children of darkness dwelt in oblivion, betraying one another in endless confusion, but the Lord of the Dark had bewitched them. From time's first creation, the wise men and prophets, and all workers of magic had warned of the reckoning, the wind and the fire, and the plague of destruction that follows the path of evil. So we have this Lord of Ages that has left his heavenly home. I'm assuming he's like the good guy. And then below in the forest, we have this Lord of the Dark, and he the bad guy. Far above the wide ocean, thundering rivers through the sun and the rain, the turn of the seasons rode the God of all-knowing, while all around him celestial companions, friends from the void before time was woven, honor his crowd with words of white fire and carry his robes. We're getting some sort of mythology, but I'm not quite sure what it is. But in the peace of a valley, a young child was born, filling the night with his crying, and an old man gave thanks to the Lord of Ages. Is this Jesus? Whose battle is now with the innocent, but the birds of the air were silent, knowing that time had come when time was forgotten, the waters were still, the mountains stood empty, cities were deaf. Gathering the harvest. I'm not going to read every little line. I don't know. It's either like some sort of old mythology or Jesus or something. I don't know. Someone's doing something. Not quite sure who it's talking about or what it's talking about, but it's a good song nonetheless. Let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments down below. Follow me over on Twitter. Support the channel on Patreon. Thank you guys so much for sharing your song with me. Thank you so much. Hope that you enjoyed it. Come back tomorrow. I will see you all then, guys. Bye.